any other documentary, and that's coming from discussion with G. Edward Griffin, who's been involved with many successful projects in films, in the past. So,
I'm familiar with him from the Creature from Jekyll Island.
That's right, and he was actively involved with Freedom to Fascism, which of course broke around on a number of different issues. So, with that being said, for a first film, I guess as a new filmmaker on the scene, you never expect the film to get within the first 2 to 3 weeks to get translated into several different languages, and just the attention. And let me point out, it's not film; it's this issue that is so dire that get the message out. And finally, for the first time in the history of the movement, within the past 10 to 12 years, it is getting the attention that it deserves. It's a crime against nature and humanity. We're all suffering, and we're at a tipping point right now. And if we allow it to continue, and if we don't speak truth to this, I don't think there's going to be much left for us and our children to enjoy. So we're in a real crisis, and again, people are waking up to that, and I think we did a good job illustrating that in the film. And like you said, we didn't hammer at people, hey, the sky is falling, run away, get deeply scared, but we ask questions. And that's why I think the film appeals to a lot of people. It was me. Hey, I'm a regular guy. I went out. I got concerned. I became aware of this, and I started asking questions, and I documented. And what I found was deeply shocking, and I found that we are in a crisis. And, it's my duty to alert people to what's going on. And now it's their duty. My greatest hope was to inspire other people to take similar action, the kind of action that I was taking. Get on the radio, start addressing this to public officials. Start talking to your neighbors. My entire neighborhood has woken up because I'm out, on the streets when they spray. I walk out and I just ask people, what is that? What do you think that is? And they're like, I don't know. I've always wondered. And then I have an opportunity to explain to them, well, those are geoengineering programs. They're not healthy. Here's a DVD. I've been handing out free DVDs. Of course, we have them for sale, but, we encourage people who purchase a DVD to make copies and hand them out freely in our vision of making this known to all. So it's real important that we inspire other people to get active and motivated to go out and speak on this and address this.
What was one of the most surprising things that you discovered as you got into making the film? What surprised you the most that you discovered?
Well, I think all of it. My mouth was dropped at the arrogance of these scientists talking about their models and their goals and their plans, and also the risks associated with geoengineering. And one of those was ozone depletion, exactly what we're seeing. Droughts in Africa and Asia, exactly what we're seeing. Weird weather patterns, exactly what we're seeing. So they were very open about the risks, and there were about 14 of them, 13 or 14 risks. One of the three, what they said was a benefit, was actually to cool the planet. I don't know if that's a benefit, and I don't know that we should put, the power of God into the hands of a select few, especially people that are getting funded with known eugenicists, like Bill Gates. That's deeply concerning. But also, what broke my heart was just the devastation that people are experiencing. Dane Wigington, who is a solar expert, and he bought 2,000 acres above Lake Shasta in Mount Shasta, and his goal after he retired from Bechtel as a solar expert was really to live off of the land, and now everything's literally dying on his property. And
oh yes, that was the one that's in the film clip. The guy who has the property up at the top of the hill, kind of a large house, and you interviewed him in the film movie, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fascinating interview. That was really scary. You know, that alone was worth seeing, you know, in the movie. And this is the kind of thing that, you know, people are trying to go organic, and they're trying to grow their own food, but what's the point when this chaff, these metals and these particulates and these irradiated particles are falling over your head, and you're breathing them in, and they're getting in the vegetables, and you know, everything is breaking down. I've seen it out here in the Northern California. Everything is literally dying. It's just getting worse and worse. I mean, that is the ultimate goal. And I wonder what the scientists are thinking. Do they live underground in bases where food is grown, you know, in some kind of special conditions? I mean, don't they realize that they have to live in a world that they're creating? I just don't get that part.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that comes up a lot. And we know how toxic just the things that we uncovered in the film is. And again, we spoke about, you know, that it does go deeper into biologicals and other areas. But a lot of people ask that, you know, aren't they breathing this in as well? And the answer to that is yes. And people say, well, they couldn't possibly do that, you know, if they're breathing it in as well. And we know, you know, I think it's safe to assume, and I don't have the answer of why they would be doing it if they're inhaling it, but I always go back to a couple issues. One is I think it's safe to assume that these people who consider themselves the elite have access to far better health care and technology.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that I'm taking measures to chelate this metal and these particulates out of my body. I'm taking measures to strengthen my immune system, and that's the information that I have been privy to, which, you know, is out there for anybody. But I think they have access to much greater. But also, we know that there's a tremendous amount of power associated with this, and I think power can even be related to a desire for perhaps a drug addict who might want, you know, to do a drug. Who knows that, yes, they are killing themselves, but that rush or whatever they get from the use of that drug is worth it to them. And I think we're in that state as well, because there is an agenda here, and there's a lot of money, there's a lot of power. This is godlike power. And of course, we've seen people, how many people have put their families in jeopardy just for a mere small business deal. You know, we see that all the time in today's society. So I think it's safe to say that there are different motives and, I guess, different spirits that are leading these people. And no, it's not in the best interest of all of us. But wow, that power must feel good to those people who really desire it, you know?
Yes. And unfortunately, it's damaging to the rest of us. Well, you know, I did see, I think I saw this on your clip, that somebody mentioned that when the president flies into the San Francisco area, the Los Angeles area, that there is no spraying that goes on during those days. But I just thought of something funny. We know that Clinton says he didn't inhale, so maybe he has the secret. You just don't inhale.
Maybe there was a double meaning behind that, right? Because
it could be. I might have missed the real meaning to that one. But then, of course, we haven't even discussed the most obvious thing. In an economy like ours, where they're raping and pillaging and stealing money and printing it up out of thin air and giving it to their bankster friends and their various contracts to, you know, scanners and this and that and the other thing, and wars and secret this and secret that. We don't know how much this program costs and who's paying for it. Obviously, we're probably paying for the very things that are killing us. That's how it tends to work with military and government operations. We're the ones that get charged, and we're the last ones to find out that we're being used as guinea pigs. So it must cost billions, or if not trillions of dollars to have planes constantly flying certain patterns and to monitor those from satellites and to make adjustments that need to be made all over the globe, that is not a cheap operation.
No, it's not. And again, these are global, and they are doing them, offshore as well. So, and of course, we've seen whales have had aluminum toxicity and other heavy metal toxicity. So it is getting into our waters. But yeah, back to the money issue. You bring up a good point. Who's paying for it? And G. Edward Griffin always, of course, he did his research on the Federal Reserve. And when people ask him that, they say, "Who's paying for it?" He said, "You're paying for it.
Exactly.
You are paying with taxes. You're the one that's supporting this." And that just it maddens people, and it maddens me. To think that that part of my money would be going into supporting programs that are not in the best interest of mankind. So. With that being said, again, we have to get vocal. We have to take action instead of paying for this and rolling over for our own demise. We're in a very exciting time because for the first time in history, we have an opportunity to bring truth to a subject that is so obvious to those of us who know. And like you said, I think you made a great point. You spoke, you said for a number of years, you were unaware of these programs as I were. I just learned about them about 3 years ago. But once you know and once you see what's going on, it's Dane Wigington, who, of course, we interviewed in the film. He calls it the elephant in the room that nobody has noticed until now. And that elephant is not disguised anymore. And they are getting more aggressive with these programs, and more people are asking questions. And for the first time in the history of the movement, we have a film which addresses these points, and it's waking people up. It's What in the World Are They Spraying?
Well, I certainly hope it's waking people up, because if we don't wake up, then we're not going to be here. We're going to be cutting Z's underneath the ground. What's to stop? For instance, these planes now are used to running these tanks and spraying these things in the air. Some people claim that there are chemicals in there that dumb us down, some kind of Prozac type things. Who knows? They're so talented at coming up with Dr. Evil kinds of chemicals that it could be doing anything. However, what's to stop them one day, the elite, the people who are pulling the strings, from simply making a phone call, and they have all the tanks ready to go, and they replace the ordinary chemtrail tanks with these other tanks, and in those tanks is some kind of toxic substance that literally kills us. I mean, that would be an easy thing to do. You could, and you know where you're flying. It's all patterned out. You've been practicing for 10, 12 years. The flyers don't necessarily know that they're distributing anthrax or whatever the disease is, H151 or 52 or 53. And, we wouldn't know either. It would just look like another chemtrail sky in the night, and except that we wouldn't be waking up in the morning, or we'd be waking up coughing blood. So these are real concerns that we should be thinking about.
Well, and you brought up a good point. What if they put something in that would kill us? And I'd like to respond to that. They already are. We know that conclusively. And it's not the fast kill that you suggested. But these programs they're highly toxic. Respiratory mortality, again, number 3 in the past 5 years in the list of mortality, and that's just scratching the surface. We look at all the aluminum-related deaths, the heart attacks, the strokes associated with it. They, without a doubt, are killing people. These are black programs. They're a human rights violation. They're just violate all of our God-given rights, and they need to be addressed. Yeah.
And then another question that might pop up in someone's mind is, these are aluminum products. We're absorbing the aluminum. Our dogs, our cats, our trees, our wildlife, our